units that they were putting in Fredonia that we looked at are now the ones that they're ripping out. As I record this video, those stations, they've had constant glitches and outages across the 2 years that we've kind of seen them installed and now being ripped out of the ground. Hi and welcome to another plug and play EV video. This one is going to take us a little back in time, mainly because we haven't really been on the road that much so far in the autumn, and we're running out of road trip footage. So the last one was down to New York City. It was a day trip. This one's going to take us on a more familiar route, albeit 2 years ago now. So back in 2018, heading from Cleveland to Boston, and in a different car as well, although the same model, but the 2017 Bolt EV that we started with rather than the 2020 that we're currently in, and you may have seen in more recent videos. So this is, you know, taking us back to a period almost before Electrify America. We actually touch on one of the stations that was going in that's now, you know, regularly in use along that New York thruway corridor. This trip was the first time we used Electrify America in Chicopee, Massachusetts, the first station that had gone in, and that had gone in the previous May, and this journey was done in September 2018. So why now? Well, the footage is from my first, you know, real journey with, you know, filming and trying to chronicle the trip and the different charging experiences before I put any videos up on the channel. And also it's quite patchy because, you know, I didn't get everything on camera, I don't have photos from everything. It was also a journey that occurred just after we'd put the car into one of the Cleveland dealerships for a software update, so it takes some time for the software algorithms to catch up and figure out what the car's doing in terms of range. So we had some pretty strange numbers. It's, you know, it makes for an interesting trip, I think, mainly for the state of infrastructure that we saw along that route at that time, and then early signs of you know, what they're now doing with Evolve New York. And it's taken a while to get there. There were some false starts, but you know, want to look at Evolve New York a little bit as well in this video. So I'm gonna just kind of progress through it, you know, talk about what happened at each individual area. I thought it was an interesting one to look back on, as we have so few road trips in the pipeline at the moment. So without further ado, let's jump on in. 2 years back, 2017 Bolt EV Premier, and one of the first Cleveland to Boston trips we were at Tim Lally Chevrolet in Cleveland, Ohio, getting ready to start the long journey back to Boston, Massachusetts. So we're going to go, just topping off here at the DC fast charger. Misleading range estimator at the moment because we had the update done to the battery management system, so it's not quite reading exactly what we would normally get. I'd rather see that in the 250 range, but we'll see how we do as we go along. So just topping off to go through to Western New York Welcome Center, which is a new spot with 3 DC fast chargers that just came online this month. So we'll see. Figure out the next charge stop.
In a quarter mile, turn left onto New York 60 South Bennett Road.
Okay. So we'll take the journey step by step, you know, starting off from Tim Lally Chevrolet in the greater Cleveland area, kind of towards the east of the city, if anything. Going from that location to Boston, it's about 660, maybe 675 miles, depending on the route. So it's a good day journey. You're going to be driving all day in any car, an EV with no infrastructure, let alone what we have now. Usually we try and do a 200-mile stint either way, and that seemed to work out this time. We actually went I stopped in Fredonia, New York, where the Electrify America station was going in, not even activated yet, and one of the first in New York State to be lined up and put in. So that was an exciting kind of moment in, you know, EV geek sense, because you know, we'd had the one go in Chicopee in Massachusetts, the former May, and this was just, you know, 3 or 4 months after that. So to see them starting to install them along that route and see how it was going to potentially change your travel dynamic, and certainly it would have, you know, made this journey a lot quicker had they had the stations that we have now. It was interesting, you know, and good to see those going in. So a bit of, you know, history there, because we've used that site many times since then. But our destination was just north of Buffalo in the Western New York Welcome Center, which we made it to. Some odd numbers on the GOM there at that point, and the efficiency.
Continue on I-190 north for 13 miles. Next left onto Alvin Road, then your destination will be on the left.
We got 210 miles, which was awesome. I can see doing that. You know, we've done that subsequently in the 2017 Bolt in summer or in warm weather, so that's not necessarily pushing it. The efficiency counter had us at 5 miles per kilowatt hour, which I guess lines up with, you know, some of the distance we were doing, but it made no sense. So I just have to put some of the, you know, number disparities down there to the software update. I'm not sure if it was calculating accurately, so again, take all of these numbers from this trip with a pinch of salt, really. But you know, the fact of the matter is we were able to use that 2017 Bolt with its smaller battery pack than the 2020 to go 210 miles. It was still 24 miles on the GOM. So starting at a, you know, pretty decent state of charge even after having driven 210 miles. It was a nice day, warm weather. We used 100% on driving and accessories. You know, it was 70, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, so windows down, just kind of cooling. Didn't need any AC at that point. Western New York Welcome Center, still really popular place for EV travelers. You know, people are trying to come across that route from the Niagara kind of area. Down into the US from Canada when we're able to do that. Free charge, you know, I think we got up to something like 70-80% state of charge. Just stopped there for, you know, a look around, a bit of a break. Those are 50 kilowatt stations, so you know, probably took a solid 50-60 minutes to get up to that level. But you know, again, all complimentary, nice place to hang out for a little bit, very relaxing space. And it kind of spoke to what was to come after that with stuff like the Capital Region Welcome Center. They've installed one up in the other border with Canada at Alexandria Bay. So lots of areas that just already had this kind of infrastructure even 2 years ago. And now you're starting to see with Evolve New York, which we've kind of covered in other videos, they're really filling in a lot of these gaps. There's just recently here in late September, early October 2020, we've had the Watertown, New York site going online. It's still to be commissioned fully and all wrapped up with the branding, but essentially those stations are now in the EV Connect app and ready to go. So you can get a charge on your way up to Canada. Remember Buffalo at this time, to the best of my recollection, there was certainly no Electrify America station in there at that point. There was also no Electrify America station in Albany. So, you know, that was a route that was purely based on dealership charging and whatever free charging you got from the Western New York Welcome Center. So Albany to Buffalo part was definitely the most challenging for us. Even now it's still, you know, a lot of those sites have just been under repair. But, you know, then it was only level 2 charging. So that's the next part of the journey, and we'll dip into it. So how do you do the 250 to 280 miles across upstate New York and the New York Thruway without any fast charging? You fall back on level 2 is the only real answer. Could have been stopped and just done the hotel thing that I mentioned before, you know, destination charging and getting a good night's rest. It was just me on this journey, so I kind of thought, you know, maybe we'll just wing it, try and see if we can go all the way. The choice was to stop in Geneva, New York, on one of the Finger Lakes. Plenty of level 2 charging along that route, Route 20, where you touch the top of all the northern tip of all the Finger Lakes, and watch a movie. It was a crappy movie. Watched the reboot of Predator in the 2018 version, which was really kind of just a, you know, snooze fest, but that's okay. Big comfy chair, sit down for a while, get a couple of hours. Also had dinner around there. And so that's bumping you up, you know, probably must have been 3 hours charging, if for what I recall, and that gives you a good 70-80 miles worth to crack on to Albany. It was just more of a can we do it than a you know, something you really want to do, but at the time, you know, it kind of carried us through. And once you get, as I said, to Albany, you're into an area which has something like 5 or 6 EV Go stations, albeit 50 kilowatt max. Now you've got the Electrify America station, which has six charge stations, so it really starts to get much easier as you get into that final stretch from Albany into Massachusetts and then over to Boston. So, you know, the gap there was, I think, you know, some of the roads that I drove were slow. I did a bit of time on the highway, came off to go down to the Finger Lakes area, drive some of the slower roads to Geneva. I don't think there's anything much to talk about as far as Albany goes. I think it was, from what I recall, just one of those Hannaford supermarket stops. Grabbed some breakfast there and charged up enough to get into Massachusetts. And then coming through to Mass, it was one of the first videos on the channel actually, was at the Chicopee, Massachusetts Electrify America site, charging at 55 kilowatts, which now is one of the kind of criticisms of the Bolt, if you like. But back in 2018, you consider that really the only network that was putting in anything above 50 kilowatts, except for the supercharger network, was Electrify America. And at that time we had maybe 10, 20 sites on tops, and there's not, you know, it wasn't a lot of market presence for Electrify America at the time. So it was pretty exciting to be seeing a charge rate in the Bolt that we had never seen before. You know, on the 50 kilowatt station, you're pushing 43, 44 kilowatts. And that was fine, you know, for the time. But obviously now we're starting to say, well, 50, 55 kilowatts is a kind of an Achilles heel of the Bolt EV. So you see how quickly things have changed. You know, it's only 2 years really, and people have been making this complaint of the Bolt for at least a year. So within 12 to 18 months, we've gone from maxing out the equipment and the car being capable of a bit more than the vast majority of stations, to the vast majority of stations being way faster than what this car can do. So there's not much point in me going over the session in Chicopee. It's up on the channel. It's one of the first videos, and I'll link it down in the description. Suffice it to say, we've come a long way from there. The Bolt EV charging at 50, 55 kilowatts an hour is not impressive, but you know, that was where we were at the time, and it was good to see that that coming online. From there, Chicopee, we've done it a few times now, charging there, and that's the last charge you need on the way home. So got back to Boston. Final stats again, take everything with a pinch of salt because of that software update, which I think kind of threw things out. But it looked good, maybe too good to be true, with the 677 miles that we drove being done in 154 kilowatt hours. Again, no climate settings, with that kind of very moderate temperature in the 70s, early 80s, and 4.4 miles per kilowatt hour there. So, you know, solid. I think that's probably one of the better numbers we've seen. I think during the trip up to Canada, over a very long 2,000 mile road trip, we got 4 miles per kilowatt hour, including some aircon. So maybe the numbers are a bit thrown out, but you do start to get up to that in the summer and the warm weather, you know, if it's not so hot that you have to be blasting the air conditioning. And that probably made sense with some of the slower roads that we did getting to the kind of Finger Lakes area in the middle of the state. So all in all, you know, looking back on it, quite a formative trip. You kind of get the knowledge that you can do that 200, 210 miles on the first stint and still do it pretty comfortably in the summer months or when it's warmer. Definitely, you know, grateful for the infrastructure that's gone in. since you know, we made that journey across that middle bit. You just couldn't do it before in any good amount of time. You'd have to stop overnight, get the extra charge, or stop somewhere for a very long level 2 stop. So, you know, it's, if you're gonna go over a route slowly, that's certainly a nice one to do in the summer, but not ideal. You want the option of being able to fast charge, go quick, or take it leisurely, depending on your own choice. It shows you how far we've come, even though I know there's a lot of moans and gripes about the Electrify America network. Well, think what it was like before those went in. Even if it doesn't work on you first time, if you get a charge, then it's certainly better than having no options at all. And just because we're on the subject of traveling through New York, just to make a couple of corrections on my video from, you know, a pre-launch charge on the Evolve New York site in LaGrangeville, just near Poughkeepsie. So that was, in that video, it was way before we had all the confirmed details, and, you know, it wasn't even really a site that was launched to use. But the those sites have a mixture now of, at the time I said it was EV Connect, some of the other Evolve New York sites, like the one that's going live in Watertown, New York, up closer to the Canadian border, that is going to be EV Connect. But the one in LaGrangeville, if you are going on that route around the Taconic State Parkway, that's actually a Greenlots station. So a lot of these locations are being put out to bid for different vendors. Depending on who likes what, they'll come in, and that one was clearly won by Greenlots. So keep an eye on that. If you go that route, know the difference between the two different networks that are currently in use, and we look forward to it. I mean, these, you know, a lot of the people are very happy that these Evolve New York sites are going in. Certainly around that Adirondack loop, you know, going up to the Canadian border, across to the Vermont border, and back down to the east of New York State. That route is not very well served at all. There's going to be a bunch of stations going in, whether it's Shroon Lake, some of the ones up north by the border, or, as I say, the Watertown, New York location, and Syracuse. All of those are going to serve that kind of crowd going north-south. So it's good to see those going in, especially to bridge another gap that New York State needs to take care of. One that I hope gives you some perspective on where we've come in the intervening 2 years, and hopefully where we'll be, you know, recording something like this in 2022, and looking back and saying, wasn't it a pain in the backside when that one Electrify America station went down? So yeah, in the meantime, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this look back in time, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.